Hello, my name is Greg Wickstrom. I'm the Hawaiian Airlines Flica Administrator. I'll be taking you through a brief overview of the program. First thing you want to do is open your browser to flica.net, which will take you to the Flica homepage. Here we are on the landing page, and if you just follow along with my cursor, you'll see that if it is your first time in the system, you'll want to use the first time user link. If you've forgotten your password, you can access it here. It'll require you to remember the security question or the answer to the security question when you signed in. And then your forgot user ID link, which is basically just remember it's HAL and 6 digits. And those 6 digits include your employee number. 0327 is the employee number in this case. And here we are, we've logged in. And you can see the program has 2 main windows, the recent update window and the navigation pane, the blue navigation pane on the left. If you need more room, you can drag the separator left or right. First thing we recommend you do is read the message from the airline. So we do have a new form. If you have a situation or an issue with Flica, or you have just general questions, that form is located under the forms section of the in-flight website. Once you've read this information, you can scroll down here if you want to see it all. Normally the most recent information will be towards the top. But once you've glanced at that information, come over here to the left-hand side, and as you see as we scroll down, currently we have 2 months. We have March and April populated. So you'll always want to be careful to make sure you're working in the correct folder. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just go through these folders and I'll give you a brief explanation of what they are. The NANI and cleared etch. NANI is North American Neighbor Island. A cleared etch pairing. Etch stands for ER, turn, charter, or holiday. Those are restricted pairings. And once they've sat for a 12-hour period from 6 in the morning till 6 at night and no one's picked them up, they become cleared. And you would use this folder to post on the trade board once it's cleared, if you have that type of pairing. We have documents in each one of these folders. There are a couple of exceptions, but this will give you an overview of the rules. We also have the basic information for the folder, and then an instruction document on how to perform a task. In this case, it's how to post your trip on the trade board. Now we can view the pairings in this folder as well, if we wanted to. We can identify particular pairings or just, and then use these color defaults to highlight them if we have favorites. I would say that this doesn't get used much. And then the trade board is where you'll use this link to go out. Next we have view or print pairings. Some people will use this to filter out specific pairings that they're looking for and maybe wanting to look for on the trade board. I would say this probably gets very little use. Going back, and we're still in the same folder, the trade board is located, so this would be the March NANI and cleared etch trade board. So being that today is March 27th and we are curious about finding a trip for, say, tomorrow the 28th, we would come out to the trade board, we would click on this All Requests tab, And then you can see in this case it's sorted, so we have it sorted by date. And here are the pairings that are still available today. And we go to the next page. If you look in the lower right hand corner where my cursor is located, there's 8 pages currently. And we probably have another filter on here which I'll show you momentarily. But you can see we're into the 28th. And if you want more information, in this case about the Oakland, you click on that, it opens a new window and you can see the crew located here for that particular pairing. A filter will allow you to sort through this information because oftentimes it'll get up to 90, 100 pages. And you have the ability to use the sort option to really look for what you want and to specify it. In this case we're eliminating 717 and we have an early to latest date sort on. In this case we'll just stay with it. And then you'll see there are 8 pages, but if I go back and I take off the sort of the 717 and apply it, now I have 12 pages. Then we have the 7000 series parameters. So we'll go back into the main menu. Again, we're in the non-cleared edge folder, trade board. That was just a very brief overview. There'll be another video on how to post your trip. Just wanted to give you an idea of where to find things. If you have a flight attendant, another flight attendant that you want to perform a trade with, rather than advertising your trip on the trade board, you have the ability to actually submit it directly with the other flight attendant into the scheduler's queue. It's a 2-sided trade, they call it. One is where you're giving them your trip for another, or you can actually drop a trip as well, 1-sided trade. And you would use a submit view request for that. The difference here is that you hit the trade button, and you could be dropping is just that the program uses the trade button. Dropping in the case of the program would be called a 1-sided trade versus a 2-sided trade. So we go through here and we find one pairing in our schedule that we can trade. We click it, click next. At this point you can put in the other person's employee number if you have it. If not, you click on this particular ellipsis button, it's called, and you can type in their name. And I just picked up Jean, and we'll use Regine. Click apply, and it populates her number, and if she has a particular trip that you're going to be trading with, you click this button again, and in her case she has her schedule private, so it won't come up, but let's see, I think I know somebody else that doesn't. And we'll bring this up. And now you can select the pairing that you'll be trading from her schedule. In the previous case, if it is blocked out, then you have to manually insert their pairing information here. So you would, in this case, look for, say it was the 30th, and then pairing, just be sure that you put an H in front of it for Honolulu. Okay, and then I always tell people, if you're flying a lot, to use the wave days off away from domicile to check that. It's the only way the program will know that you're allowing more than the minimum at base. So if you fly quite a bit, I suggest that you just click that. Last but not least, click on step 6, submit request. We're not going to do that in this case since the system is live. Okay, so that brings us back to the home page. I've selected the home page link and I'm back, and all this information is replicated in the April folder. And once March is finished, we'll just have the April folder here. We have a split short-term folder. Any pairing that is inside of 12 hours of the pairing date. So anything after noon today would have, that's for tomorrow, would be processed in the short-term folder. And it also acts as the split. So if you're dropping a segment, they call it splits in Flica, then you would use this folder as well. And we'll have another video on how to split your pairing in the future. The etch trade is for if you're doing an etch-to-etch trade, ER to ER, turn to turn. Charters and holidays are a little different in that they can be swapped with other pairings once they've met the whole, but they don't. Other same type of pairings, and I don't want to confuse you because it does get confusing. But just know if you have a turn, you can trade it only for a turn. If you have an ER pairing, you can only trade it for an ER pairing. Those are the main ones that get processed in here primarily. So that's the etch trade only. The etch trade short term, again, anything inside of 12 hours will be processed in here if it qualifies. And the etch drop folder, this is the one that has the restriction. So in order to clear your pairing, it has to be posted in this folder before 6 in the morning. Once it's met 6 to 6 hold, so at 1800, the schedulers will start the run. Depending on how many requests are in their queue, it can sometimes take as long as an hour or even longer, depending on how many holds are in the system. And then once that's completed, then the pairings that haven't been picked up are then cleared. You'll leave your pairing posted in there, and then you would go and you can post it in the Nani and cleared etch folder as well. Okay, so we're back down here to the etch drop only folder, and there's a folder doc in here to give you more information. Next we have open time. So March is available at the moment. You can click on the open time pot. This gives you a rundown of all the different pairings that are available. And if you like what you see there, you can go ahead and click submit or view requests. And then you can drop trips into open time, although that's pretty difficult to do lately with the reserve levels being what they are. You can always add a pairing and swap a pairing. And I'll be putting on another video on each one of these, or combining them all three on how to use this folder, but just know that that's available to you. If you wanted to add something, that's probably the easiest thing to do because it's not that restrictive. Go ahead and just select the pairing that you're looking for. If you can't quite see it over there, you can see that the international and the cities are located in layover cities here, which is a quick way to find if you're looking for that type of pairing. And then of course the dates here. Same thing, just click on the one you want to add. I always suggest clicking wave days off away from domicile, and then click the submit request. Okay, that was your brief overview of the open time request folder. Bid, FA, and GDO pickup trip requests. This particular folder will be used from a bid FA that's looking to pick up a trip that is not an open time. And again, it is a text-based system, so we can click submit or view requests. You click on the other button and type in your request. You might want to keep it as short and concise as possible. But if you have multiple priorities for a single date, you can put them in one request. So again, if you have a JFK, a Kix, and a Haneda on the 30th of this month, you would go ahead and put them in that order. If you wanted something on the 29th, you would submit a new request, and you can prioritize them accordingly. Schedulers say that they don't appreciate long novels being written in here, So just keep it short and sweet. Okay, we're on to reserve FA trip requests. And basically, as a reserve, you put in a request, hoping that if they are going to assign you something, you can have a little say in the matter. And this is the folder that you would use. I also like to point out that in both of these folders, we have cancel request info. Very important if you decide to cancel your request, because the way we're using this program currently, it doesn't really allow you to cancel it once it's approved. In fact, you can't do it. And the reason why you're getting an approval from the scheduler is only in their response method. This again is a workaround. It's not really how the program is designed, but the crew schedulers want to communicate to you that they have received your request. They put it in their spreadsheet, and it won't be accessed until the day prior when they're building the schedule. So you'll need to log in the day prior into CrewWeb and sign off to see if you've gotten the pairing. Okay, so that would be the BidFA and GDO pickup trip request folder and the reserve trip request folder. And we get down to the reserve last call. For those of you on reserve that want to be called last, you can convert your whole schedule from reserve, which is an R code, to reserve last call, which in this case is RLV. And what that does is when you convert it, when the scheduler pulls up the report, the reserve report, when they're creating the schedule, they'll see that you have a last call and they'll assign it accordingly. Again, they do some things for utilization purposes, depending on how many days you have available. So it may not always look like it's seniority based and that your last call, you might be put a little bit in front of some other people. They might have 6 days, you have 1. And I'll be going into another video on that as well. Down here, moving on, I should say, from the last call, we have the bid pairings. So the bid packet, basically in electronic format, is here. You can view your schedule in this particular format, your account, and any services you might have from Flica. They have different programs available to you, or I should say services, where you can have alerts sent to your mobile device if something comes up on the trade board that you're interested in. And then they have other services. You can see they have a new expense report and flight log that you can use for tax purposes. And airport lookup and some of the other things in here you may or may not use. The My Account is good to know about because you may want to change your password. This is where you do it. You might also want to update your email address as well. So that concludes the overview of Flica. Look for more videos and instruction documents and folders going forward. If you need more information, make sure you visit howflica.net. And again, this will give you more information, guide you through some of the basic tasks that can be performed in Flica. Thanks for listening. I hope this was informative. If you do have any questions, feel free to email me directly at greg.wickstrom@hawaiianair.